listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing, but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Brit and I'm here today with Melissa Alam, founder of Femme and Fortune, FearlessCon, and The Hustle House. You guys, she's got a lot going on. So thank you so much for joining me today, Melissa.
Thanks for having me, Brit. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah. So, all right. I had to have Melissa on the podcast because I went to her most recent event, her annual FearlessCon conference. And I mean, I've been watching Melissa from afar ever since I got my ticket to FearlessCon, following her on Instagram and, just watching her work throughout that weekend of the conference. And I'm just so pumped to get to chat with her today, get some insight into her businesses, her industries, her strategies, everything, and what makes it all tick. So, Melissa, are you ready to jump in?
So ready.
All right, let's do this. So, first of all, we kind of already covered the fact that you have a lot going on. I want to know, tell me, how do you earn your living?
Yeah, so apologies if you hear a train. I live right under the L here in Philadelphia, so I can't really move that for this. But
That's
how
okay.
I earn a living and how I've earned a living for the past 5 years on my own is through client work. So I worked at ad agencies after graduating from college and just didn't like the flow and the routine and all the stuff, lost my creativity. So I just quit randomly. And then that week I got my first web design client through referral. And I've been just through referrals ever since. And so I make websites for clients. That's kind of like my bread and butter. And then I also am now diving into a lot of social media strategy. I do photography for events or lifestyle photography for clients. I also do branding. So I make logos and help with like business card design and media kits. And then I also am now doing some PR and strategy consulting for some cool clients here in Philadelphia. So a lot of stuff, definitely always overwhelmed. And then I have events. So the events help as well for some income, but not like the main thing.
Right. Okay. So Femme and Fortune is your agency where you're doing all that client work, right?
Yeah. So Femme and Fortune started off as a digital magazine because I've always wanted to work for like Cosmo or Allure or Glamour and just got lazy and never applied. So I was like, let me just make my own website because again, like I know how to make all of the website, know digital strategy. So I launched that in 2013 with a co-founder. And yeah, so that's been mostly articles and resources for women in terms of career. And I just recently turned it into an agency focusing on women or female-focused brands. But I put a lot of my female-oriented clients under Femme and Fortune, and then the other ones that I take that are like men are just under my own name. So it's also kind of confusing as well because I do take a lot of referrals under like the Melissa Alam brand. So I have logos for pretty much every invoice.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. And then so FearlessCon was kind of your second venture, your main event. So tell me about FearlessCon and how that came into play.
Yeah, so FearlessCon actually is my third venture. My second one in between that was a all-female co-working space called the Hive. It was Philadelphia's first co-working space just for women. And it was just a random idea I had. I was tired of working out of my living room, and I had this opportunity to take over my mentor at the time, her office space in Old City. It was a beautiful I miss the space. Beautiful space, 2 floors. And I launched that in 2014 and I closed it in 2016 because I wasn't making money
Mm-hmm.
and, or as much money as I needed it to make. And it was also before WeWork came and kind of like took over the whole Philadelphia co-working market. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it happened how it did. But I created FearlessCon in that space as sort of like a fundraiser for rent, as well as motivation for me to create something bigger, like a bigger gathering for women. Because I was holding a lot of smaller like workshops and professional developments events within the space, but it was only limited to about like 20 people because the Hive was small. So yeah, I go to a lot of conferences. I just wanted to create my own. There's nothing like that in Philadelphia that I can see that's like
Mm-hmm.
the type of style and flow that I want. So that's when FearlessCon was born.
And I can tell you, there was such a unique energy, such a unique vibe there. I really enjoyed myself for sure. So that's awesome. And now, brand new venture, I didn't even know was happening. I mean, I kind of saw some behind the scenes stuff happening on Instagram, but I didn't know what it was all about. The Hustle House. What the heck is that?
Yeah, so this is stemmed from FearlessCon, where I have put in some of the money that I earned from that as an investment into this space. And it's something that, I mean, I never have a plan going in to any of these businesses. I have never written one business plan.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so the Hustle House is just a need that I found for myself. And that is, I want to grow a team because I have these big ideas and I'm getting drained and I can't do it all. And there's little mistakes that are happening and there's just like, I need a team. And
Mm-hmm.
so I live in Fishtown and there are apartments across the street that were open. And I just kept every day I was like looking on Craigslist because the photos of the place look amazing, just natural light and they're huge. And I know the landlord's great. And so, yeah, I just finally pulled the trigger and I was like, you know what, let me just get this space. And since then, I've just been buying a lot of furniture. And the point of the Hustle House is it's a space for creatives who burn the midnight oil. So people like me who are, I'm a night owl. I work at night. So I'm opening the space for people to, come and work if they want, but mostly for smaller events. So I'll be hosting my own workshops in the space. I'll have guest workshop hosts. So another attendee, Sam from FearlessCon, she is an attorney turned entrepreneur. She's awesome. She's teaching the first workshop here, a legal workshop for entrepreneurs, for creatives. So just a lot of programming, and then people can also rent the space out for like their meetings. So I have 2 organizations that are renting it out this month for like just meeting with their clients, or they're just meeting with themselves. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. I just finished like the website and like the branding for it real quick, like the other night at 5 a.m. And yeah, and
Also known as
it's
morning.
yeah. So everything's happening, and I just feel like this space is designed for productivity and creativity. So I don't have any of my shit in here, which is great because I'm not a hoarder, but I just don't always like, I'm going to leave that across the street in my other apartment. So
Mm-hmm.
this space is only for people to come in, to work, to have a good time. We're going to have private dinner parties as well. So just like the sky's the limit when it comes to events. I'm so excited for the Hustle House.
That is so intriguing. That's so intriguing to me. So I want to go way back, and we've got so much more to talk about, but I want to go back, and you kind of skipped over it a little bit, and you're like, so I randomly quit my job and then I did this. So can you go back to that and tell us the story of how you came to do this with your life?
Yeah, I mean, I have the worst memory, but I do have flashes of myself being very entrepreneurial at a young age.
Mhm.
My in 6th grade, I sold like magazine clip outs to guys in my grade for their lockers because they were too embarrassed to buy like 17 and Teen Vogue or whatever was at the time. And
Oh my gosh,
they
that's
wanted
hilarious.
lockers. They wanted their lockers to be decorated with like the hot chicks. So I was like, all right, found a customer in the market. So I like would clip out like 7 to 10 images of Jennifer Love Hewitt from magazines, like and then I'd sell them as a bundle for like $1 or something.
Oh my
To
goodness, that's hilarious.
my
Oh my
guy
goodness.
friends. Yeah. And then I remember another business ventures. My mom's an amazing seamstress. And she's also like an entrepreneur in her own right. So I think that's what's inspired me, like, is her hustle coming from Bangladesh. My parents are from Bangladesh. She never went to college. She came with my dad, who's on this educational track, getting his PhD and his master's. And she's here at home with kids, and she can't, in a foreign country. So she had to be entrepreneurial. So she
Mhm.
began babysitting. She had like a little daycare in her house that I would help out with. She became a seamstress, and I would take orders at school. I'd wear like a skirt that she would make. And if anyone liked it, I'd take orders and be like, kind of like the middleman, be like, Mom, someone wants to buy a skirt, and like do that transaction. I think I sold like 2 items, like 2 skirts once, or a scarf or something. But I've had it in my blood.
Mhm.
And it fuels my fire. I love entrepreneurship. I'm just obsessed with it at this point. And I graduated college with a marketing degree at Temple University. Marketing was the first business class that I got an A in without cheating. So I was like, maybe I'm good at it,
I love it.
because we had to take all the 101, like finance 101, HR, and I was just like horrible, and just, I didn't care at all. And then marketing was just, it clicked, because I was undecided going into college. And after college, I did some digital agency work. I worked in PR, SEO for a year. I did online media buying and planning. I did social media. And then I just trusted my gut. I lost kind of like my creativity. I hated the routine of going in at 9 a.m. or 9:30, whatever, whenever I showed up, leaving, going on OkCupid for the next 2 hours because I was like lonely, and then making dinner and going to bed. Like, it just sucked my soul to have that routine, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I thrive off of just the hectic schedule, like the craziness of the day to day, and especially a different schedule each day. I don't like
Mhm.
routine. So yeah, so I just quit my job. I put my 2 weeks in, saying that I was going on a personal journey, when honestly I thought I had no idea what I was doing. Got my first freelance web design client through a friend. And then I've always been like into design, making graphics for my sorority flyers, or just like, I've always been like, or before that, clip art flyers on Microsoft Word.
Mhm.
So I just kind of really taught myself WordPress. I taught myself Photoshop more. Now I had this time to invest in myself. I had 2 weeks worth of pay to sustain myself, which isn't much. Obviously, I have no savings. I never have savings. It's a problem. I got a side gig at a Thai restaurant as a hostess in the neighborhood to pay for like rent, and to feed myself. And then, yeah, just within like a month or maybe 6 weeks, I was able to quit the Thai restaurant because I was getting business. I think people in the city, I came at the right time. There was a demand for like reliable freelancers, and
Mhm.
I was that person. And I was a client account manager at my prior agency job. So I knew how to handle clients. I knew how to talk to them. I knew how to show reporting. So I had the professionalism and the flexibility that they wanted. And then I grew my business through that.
That's such a cool story. Thank you for sharing all of that. That's so cool. Okay, so that first client that you got, that first web design client, how did you get them? How did you earn your first dollar?
Yeah. So I had a blog that was running throughout. I started the blog the senior year of my college. And it was just ringthealarm.com, which is my handle now. And it
Mhm.
was just a place where I put all my like inspiration. I put advertisements that I liked. I put pop culture, so music videos. And I made the blog because I was lacking the confidence in my writing. And I was like, you know what? Blogging is like this new thing. Let me start one. And then in middle school, I had a Zanga. I had a live journal. I've always been internet like induced in all of my endeavors. I
Mhm.
just such a Wi-Fi geek. And so, yeah, I started blogging, and then that was just kind of like the best representation. I started working for 215 Mag out of college as like a side gig, and then I became their style editor. So I was writing these articles for like a larger um, creative digital magazine, independent here in the city. So that kind of gave me the experience and opened some doors. And then just I would post everything on Facebook. I wasn't shy about hiding anything. I think that's a huge thing about personal branding is I've gotten a lot of the gigs I have because I share the work. And I like share the journey as I'm doing the work sometimes. So a good friend of mine was like, hey, I have a friend who needs a dog. Her site was like on Google, like GeoCities or something. It was awful. And she needs a new website. And I was like, awesome. I know WordPress. Let me kind of meet with her, figure out design. And the benefit I had was I just left working at an SEO agency. And as an account manager there, I saw a lot of websites that were awful on the back end. They were just a mess. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I'm cleaning up messes of sites, I'll now know how to create sites that don't end up a mess like this. So it was basically, I knew how to work backwards so that clients that I was dealing with wouldn't have to come to an SEO agency down the line years later with like horrible SEO, bad URL structure. So that was my mindset. I was like, okay, let me work backwards. And now that's what's going to differentiate me is I know how to make an SEO friendly site as well. So yeah, so just referrals and then networking, going to events, telling people, what I do, just showing my work on my website. I was continuously blogging, going to blogger events. I was really in that scene for a few years. And then I decided I wanted to be in front of the scenes instead of behind client work. And that's kind of when I shifted into Femme and Fortune and all of these other endeavors.
Nice. Okay. And where do you tend to get your clients? Or do they tend to be in Philadelphia? Because you do seem to be pretty like, my stuff is in Philly. So is that where you typically get your clients, or are you branching out outside of Philly as well?
Oh, that's so great that you think of that, because I'm such people have called me flighty before, because I'm like, I don't know. I have I moved around a lot as a kid.
Okay.
I moved to like 4 different places. So that's kind of like all I know. So I've been trying to move out of Philly for the past 5 years. So, and I end up just like signing a new lease, but I'll announce like, I've booked a one-way ticket to Berlin before. And I was like, going to Berlin, everybody. And I just made that a Euro trip and came back. So I'm finally feeling comfortable with being in Philly and calling it a home. It's something that I just haven't been able to do before. But a lot of my clients, yes, they are Philly based, and or DC or New York, but I do have some that are like national, that reach a different audience. I mean, it really runs a gamut, but I'd say like 75% of my clientele is Philly based.
Nice. Okay. And you're still, when did you quit your job and start your stuff? Like, give me kind of like a timeline. What are we looking at?
Yeah. So graduated from college in 2010.
Okay.
Agency life for 2 years. 2012, quit my job. That's the start of my freelance. So that's 5 years this year.
Nice.
And I started Femme and Fortune in 2013. I started the Hive in 2014. I started FearlessCon in 2015. Closed the Hive in 2016 and used that year as kind of like rediscovery year. Because the whole like failure thing as an entrepreneur came to mind, and I had to kind of just take a deep breath, and I was traveling that year. And then now we're in our 3rd year of FearlessCon in 2017, and Hustle House is born in this year. So I'm just, I don't know. When I think of an idea, I launch it, even if it like isn't the most successful launch or something. I've always been someone who pulls the trigger, which is a good thing, but also could be a bad thing. A lot of my friends are like, why don't you think about it first, or think about this idea? And I'm like, no, I already made the website. I just like, I'm just go at all the time. So yeah,
I can definitely relate to that. Yeah. Don't let them
Good.
dull your sparkle, girl. That's all I have to say. You just do you. So I wonder, this is kind of a weird one, but I wonder, where did that abundant mindset come from? Because no person that goes out and year after year makes big strides toward the dream that she's trying to build for herself in a scarcity mindset. Like, that just doesn't happen. So where do you think that came from? What inspires that abundant mindset?
I mean, I want to say that it came from the fact that I have no family in this country, and the fact that there's no legacy. I have no resources. All of my cousins, my grandparents, they've always been in Bangladesh. So I grew up, and then family wise, so it's my mom and dad, and then my 2 older brothers, and they're much older. I was kind of like the oops baby. So I grew up like all alone, and then traveling moving around city to or state to state. I was born in Ohio, grew up in some suburbs of Chicago, as well as Connecticut, and then now Philly. So I think this mindset just comes from the opportunity of making a name for myself, the fact that like, I don't know, I love the potential of a fresh start. And that's just what I've kind of grew up on, is like starting fresh in a new school, and how are people going to know me? And like, it was so exciting. I moved to Connecticut for my 8th grade, left all of these friends that I knew from kindergarten to 7th grade, and just started fresh. And then by the end of the year, I got class clown, and I was so excited. I'm like, I made my mark here in 8th grade as female class clown.
That's so cool.
So I guess the motivation is just like making a mark, representing who I am, but also representing something greater, which is a woman of color, a Bengali woman, a woman. So there's just so many facets to it.
Yeah.
And knowing my strengths and my weaknesses, and just really, really going into just trying things. And that's, I guess, part of the reason why I call it FearlessCon, is like, I just don't really care what other people think. I don't have this fear of launching. I love this feeling of being fearless and just jumping and going for things. And then realistically, a lot of the things I do is just to pay rent. Like, I have bills to pay. And so I have taxes that are still like on my deck to pay. There's money to be made, and I'm not handed that money. I don't have a trust fund. And it's always been up to me. And the alternative is to live at home in the suburbs with my parents with a 9-to-5. And that has never been on in my destiny. Like, that's not what I want to do. Like, I love my parents, but I'm not going to live in the suburbs and work a 9-to-5 somewhere. So it's also knowing the alternative, and it's survival. It's really survival. So that's what excites me.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to take 5 seconds and think about where I want to take this, because I kind of had it and then I didn't. Okay. So let's shift and talk about the work that you do, what you're working on right now, and where your focus is at. You just launched the Hustle House, so I'm sure that that's like, kind of top of mind, but where are you right now? It's the end of 2017. What's going on?
Yeah, I am a hot mess. I'll tell you that. So I have my first rental for a meeting tomorrow. So I have to get all of this stuff done for the Hustle House. I'm also leaving for New York tonight, and I'm going to the Girl Boss Rally tomorrow. I'm so excited. But yeah, so right now I am just running around. I'm really struggling, honestly. I am getting a lot of client inquiries, which is amazing, because after doing this for 5 years, there are dry seasons, and this summer was a major dry season where, I had to ask for money from my boyfriend just like to pay rent, like a quick loan, like, and I hate doing that because it's just, no one likes to ask for money, right?
Right, yeah.
But it was just such a dry season for me. And then the FearlessCon happened, which was amazing and so much energy. At the same time, I got like the biggest clients ever. So I was also managing and usually I don't even take client work on the month before FearlessCon just to focus, but I couldn't say no because these were like 6-month contracts. And yeah, so I'm dealing with a lot of client work, a lot of client inquiries. I'm right now, I'm trying to figure out how to hire. I'm trying to hire someone at least part-time by 2018, if not sooner. And I'm realizing also my weaknesses as a leader in terms of delegating, in terms of a structure for someone else to work with me. So I'm trying to figure out how I can be better at that. New processes. I'm learning how to automate. I need to automate my systems and stop emailing so much. And I'm looking into new project management tools. Like, I'm just looking to be better, do better, and grow my team right now.
Oh, that's so good. And you will do that. You will do that. And it's all a learning process. I promise you will do it. I know.
Yeah.
It's, and you said it, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and some things come easier to others and whatnot. And I can just say from my experience, you'll find that those things that you're doing right now, and you must do them pretty well, but they're not necessarily giving you life. And once you give those tasks to someone that they just die to do those types of things. They just love it so much. You're going to watch them kind of light up when they get to do, I don't know, name anything that you're like, I don't really want to do that right now. And they're just like, oh,
Proposals.
cool. Okay. And they're like, oh, I want to do a proposal for you. And you're like, wait, what? And it's just so life-giving to watch someone go take things that, yes, of course you can do because you've been doing them for 5 years, but that they can go do that and it's all good. And then you get to go do your other stuff. It's so good. So you'll do that. I know you will.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully this will manifest it, but I need good vibes. Definitely. Thank you so
There's
much.
a lot of manifesting happening on this podcast lately. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's apparently this opening up of conversation that allows for things just to be said out loud. And that in itself can give space for those things to come in. And I'm fist pumping to all of that manifesting because it just keeps happening over and over and over. I love it.
I'm such a big believer in manifestation. And a lot of times when like my friends are like, yeah, don't announce that yet. I'm like, but the reason why I announce things sometimes prematurely or like whatever is to guarantee it and to manifest it. Like that's my mindset, is always like glass half full. Let me just say it, because if anything, I don't mind retracting, being like, oh, I'm going to launch later or whatever. I don't care about that. But if it's going to manifest something sooner, why not hop on that train? So I love, manifestation is the shit. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. And it
So
sets your
magical.
intention. It set your, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. It can help you. It can help you open up space. It can help you set intentions, and it can really set you on a path to creating a plan. Maybe not the second, but down the road. And yeah, so go for it. I love it. All right. So saying that right now, your focus is kind of like, all right, I'm kind of at my max. I'm kind of sick of being overwhelmed 24/7. And you do want to grow your team. What kind of professional are you thinking of hiring first?
Well, yeah, I think someone to help with the design aspect for web and graphics would be great.
Okay.
Um, but honestly, I am starting to understand that like the clients hire me, and my best work is through that design and making those websites. And making websites is very draining for sure. It takes a lot out of me. Like I have to be in the right mindset to like get it done, because it's such a Goliath of a
Mm-hmm.
task.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually do it in like bulk, like different parts of it, just a whole day spent on it. But honestly, I think I need someone more of like a VA to do the proposals, to respond to like all these client inquiries that are coming in, like easy things that I don't have to be doing. And then also social media. Like I do it for clients and I offer that, but I don't want to do social media for like FearlessCon or Femme and Fortune, only because I don't need to. It's like
Exactly.
those are creative outlets that anyone can do and have fun with.
Yeah.
And I don't micromanage on that. I do have like a certain style and aesthetic, but I want someone else to have fun with it. And for FearlessCon, for example, I had a former attendee of the conference reach out and was like, can I help? And she managed the whole Instagram and Twitter leading up to it. And it was amazing. It just saves me so much like thought that I can
Mm-hmm.
put into other things, obviously. So I have a whole list.
Of course. Yeah.
I'd love for someone to help with all of these sponsorships for FearlessCon as well,
Mm-hmm.
so I can grow that. I don't know why I decided to have like 3 different businesses, but this is what I put myself into. So I got to figure out how to bring on some help.
This is life, and you will. That's okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, uh, how do I want to ask this? Tell me what your favorite resources are, kind of like your go-to business resources, books, podcasts. What do you plug yourself into to kind of fill back up?
Yeah, honestly, I love listening to podcasts, and I always forget about it until I get like a notification or something. But those have been just so amazing to hear as I'm working and as I'm driving. And it's just like that podcasts are honestly rejuvenating me for just giving me so many tips. I'm finding things out about like industry leaders and stuff that are people I follow on social media that I won't normally get just from following their social media posts. I'm getting like insider information on how to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely podcasts such as yours as well. Other podcasts I love include, let's see, Being Boss.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what else? Girl Boss. Someone I love following her name's Emily De La Cruz on Instagram. And she does a lot of Facebook stories, or sorry, she does a lot of Instagram stories where she just says it how it is. And I feel like she's like my virtual mentor and
Nice.
future friend. I just need to email her. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of mutual friends together, so I need to make that connection. But I've just been like watching her, and like I don't do a lot of Instagram stories where I'm talking to the camera, but she does it, and it's just so helpful. And she does screenshots of all her stuff, and she's not afraid of sharing the work, so that's been great. Other and Shark Tank is also I will just put that on if I'm at home working, get my laptop and just listen.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I said, like I'm so obsessed with entrepreneurship and marketing that yeah, Shark Tank and podcasts. I wish I had more time to read, but books that I have loved to in the past are like any of the 99U books.
Okay.
So it's by 99u.org or .com. But they have 3 books that are amazing, that are just like compilations of how to run an agency, how to be creative. They're really great little books. And then the $100 Startup is a great book that I love. I just haven't picked up a book in so long. So right now it's all digital TV. It's just like anything I can see or hear is what I'm consuming. And then Pinterest is where I go for all of my business questions or inspiration. I'll just soak in. And that's kind of like my self-care time, is when I find time to go on Pinterest at night and just soak in knowledge from all of these bloggers or entrepreneurs writing these posts. So yeah, love Pinterest.
I like how you termed it as self-care, because I think a lot of times the conversation around self-care can so easily and like quickly go to getting off of social media. And honestly, sometimes, and I'm right with you, it can feel really great. My routine, as much as people are going to be like, Brittany, you shouldn't do that. Looking at Pinterest before bed, it just is so it soothes me. Like it soothes me right to sleep. And no, I do not have a trouble falling asleep because I've been looking at my screen. I don't have a problem with it. So like, who cares? But you're right. Everyone's self-care can totally look different. And Pinterest definitely can be that for somebody, for sure.
Yeah. And for me, it's like not focusing on any of the client work or any of the tasks, but it's really just feeding my brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving me the intellectual stimulation for me to be better at what I do and to provide better results. So that's my self-care. And like, yeah, I'd love to, get a massage and a pedicure. It's been months, but right now it's my time is so crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's just
self-care
not
for,
priority.
yeah, not yet.
Yeah. Okay, just 2 more questions. First of all, I want you to look back and tell us, what advice would you give to yourself when you were first starting your business? That girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook, which, I mean, you're that girl right at this instant. So I get it. Like, we're
Yep.
all that girl. Absolutely. But just trying to figure all this out, what would you say to her?
That's a really good question. So let me think about that for a second. What would I say to myself? Okay. So that's a really good question. So what I'd probably say to myself is I don't know. I don't know if this is like narcissistic of me. I feel like I was okay. Like if anything, I'd just say like, keep doing it. Like even then I wasn't afraid of failure. I mean, the one thing maybe I'd say is like find some more funding, find a sugar daddy. I don't know, sugar mama. Like rob a bank maybe. But other than that, like I'm happy with the amount like of work I've put in. And there's there's a company called Bando that I love. They have like the cutest apparel and planners and whatnot. And they have a sweatshirt that says, I did my best. And I love that because I can honestly say that I've always put in like 110% into whatever I've done. And if I don't, I know where my faults are and I know where I could have been better, but I'm very realistic with myself in a way where I'm not hiding behind a shield of responsibility. So I know where I fuck up. I know where I'm doing great. And I have for the past, like, for my life. So yeah, I just say, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty satisfied with how I feel like if I change one of those, like, movies, like, if I Butterfly Effect, if I change one thing from the past, it could change where I am right now, you know?
Yeah.
Everything. Exactly. So yeah, I would, if anything, I'd say just eat healthier, actually. Go work out.
Go work out.
Go
Yeah.
go
Oh,
work
that's a
out,
good one.
eat healthier, and rob a bank, Melissa.
Okay, perfect. Done, done, and done. Okay, cool. And then I do want to go back and with the Hive, I want to
Mhm.
know, because it seems like, a few years have gone by and you know what? It's like, okay, did that, like, you could call it a failure, you could call it a learning experience, like whatever. To anyone maybe facing it, the ending of an era for one of their businesses, what would you tell her now that, you're kind of a few years down the road? What would you say to her?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it is totally okay. I mean, you have to trim the fat when it comes to business ideas that aren't working. You
Mm,
have to let toxic energy go, whether that be your business, whether that be a person in your life. Like, you just have to let things go, in order to let good things come in. And
yes.
that could be, a business that is self-sustaining, a business that is successful in your eyes, a business that is working. And for me, like, what I realized, the co-working aspect wasn't working at the Hive. Like, I wasn't getting memberships. And that's because, I don't know, I didn't have, like, the backing of a big VC fund or whatnot. I wasn't a WeWork, and that's
Hmm.
fine. But what was working and what was getting packed were the events. And I didn't need a $2,000 space a month for these events. I can host them anywhere. So I know I picked what was working in the business and got rid of the rest. And so it wasn't like I quit. My lease was up and I decided I had three options. Either I continue, I change things, or I bounce. And I bounced.
Hmm.
And I am so happy because it was stressing me out. And when you feel stressed out like that and the pressure to maintain a business, then it takes out all the fun, and then you shouldn't be running it. Like,
Yeah.
running a business, entrepreneurship, it should keep you, like, so happy. And that's
Hmm.
kind of like the point. That's why we choose this life, to be our own boss. But yeah, like, there's always going to be something better out there. Figure out what works currently and see how you can kind of scale it, or update it, or adapt it. And just realize that it's just a phase of your life, and we all have phases. I mean, when I'm going to be 30, 40, I'm going to look back and be like, wow, I was more courageous in my 20s, or wow, I was such a shithead in my 20s, or I was so annoying. Like, we all have phases, and that's
Yeah.
part of life. So I don't worry about the small stuff. Like, this 2-year business that I had is going to be so small considering my life. It's
Hmm.
everything's a phase. So
Yep.
it's just, how are you going to constantly be evolving
Yep.
yourself? Because that's more important than a business idea that you might have.
Yes. So good. Thank you for that. Okay. So before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
Oh man, do you have, like, how much time do you have for that? Just kidding.
Where's the hub? Like, where can we go and find kind of everything else, maybe, if that
Yeah.
exists?
I want to put up a link tree. A lot of people are doing that in their Instagram bios.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I need to do that because there's always so many things I'm promoting.
Of
But you can
course.
just find me at Ring the Alarm, ALAM. That is my personal hub. And then my website is melissaalam.com. And everything links from there. Femme and Fortune, FearlessCon, planning that for next year. And then if you're in Philadelphia, check out Hustle House. It's HSTL. So I took out all the vowels to sound cooler. So it's hustlehouse.com. And we have events up there. But yeah, I am very Googleable to find me.
We'll definitely link to we will definitely link to every single thing Melissa has going on. So if anything we talked about in this episode, you're like, I want to go learn more about that, it's all going to be linked in the show notes. So easy to find. Okay. So you heard her, girls. Go check her out, send her some love, and then hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Melissa over the next few days. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing in Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.